Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. Something, 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 something. It's a sin.
Cool. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We've been Trufax.
See you same time next week for the Trufax Hip-Hop Hour.
That'll be a great hour. I love hip-hop.
Welcome to Trufax with Ryder and Dan.
Oh, I keep on picking at my scab. That's bad.
Do you want to tell us about your scab?
So, where are we now? Probably about 3 weeks ago, I burnt my hand with first and second degree burns with some hot soup. The soup had been in the microwave for about 4 minutes. Took it out. It was on a plate. The angle was working against me, or I was too tired or something like that. It'd been a very long day, and it was quite a stressful time. And I
don't think we need this extra context.
Okay,
we just want the accident.
You're getting the extra content. I tilted the plate the wrong way, and the bowl of soup went over my hand and burnt my hand. I, for a while, didn't think it was a big issue. I just had it under running water, then had to sit in A&E until 6 a.m, and found out I had first and second degree burns.
So now, given that me and Ed know the context around why this accident happened, we have utmost sympathy for you. The reason I didn't want you to share the context about why this may have happened to you is that it's just funny if you spill soup on yourself. Are potentially going to have your hand amputated.
I know, it's infected now. As in, not badly, I just got told I have an infection. I'm taking antibiotics.
Maybe you'll just have to have your thumb amputated. And not
that
rest.
would be really inconvenient, because there's so much that you do with your thumb.
You could much more easily lose your little finger.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the Simpsons don't even have little fingers, and they're fine.
Their fingers are all pretty much the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've just got three fat, equal size
Very stubby
tubes.
Tubes, yeah. Almost pointy, their fingers.
A lot of cartoon characters don't tend to have kind of proper as we deem them, hands. In The Simpsons, there's an episode where Homer gets knocked out and meets God in heaven, and God has 5 fingers, but Homer doesn't.
Does this disprove creationism? We've not been built in God's image.
Well,
Homer
If we're the Simpsons.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're the Simpsons. There's something I just didn't get the memo.
The Simpsons are a side project.
Or are we God?
Oh.
I think humans created the Simpsons, and therefore we would be more akin to the God character in this scenario. Plus, we have 5 fingers, which puts us more like the God character than the Simpsons.
I had like an extra half a finger when I was born.
What happened to
I
it?
wasn't drowned for being a witch.
Why not? Let's try it now.
Got taken off. No, apparently it's just like a little fleshy flap off of my left little finger. It had a little fingernail on it. I don't know if this is a lie. My parents have told me. I've always believed it. I've got a little nub in there.
Have you got a scar?
Right, I thought a nubbin was an extra nipple.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little nub just coming off the side of my hand.
Well, some people have things like that, like webbed feet or 6 toes.
And they have all been burnt as witches. My parents, luckily,
the gene pool
removed that
we
from
want
me
to protect.
before they had a chance to catch me. But no, on the subject of your blistered hand, right? Ed, have you ever had a similarly severe injury?
I have had 2 severe injuries that I'm going to talk about. The first one was when I was 5 years old, and thought, while playing TIG in the playground,
TIG?
Tag.
Oh, tag.
While playing the game that way, you have to, where you call somebody it in the playground. And there was a concrete bench in the playground, and I thought I would be really cool and hide from my chaser by diving under this bench, and instead went face first into it and smashed my nose up.
Oh, God.
I had a broken nose for 6 weeks.
Wow.
That was when I was 5 years old.
How, out of interest, because I was under the impression I had broken my nose many times. But who classified that your nose was broken, and how was it broken for that long?
The surgeons did.
Okay.
Because I was in surgery for quite a long time.
Oh, wow.
While they pushed my face out from the inside.
What?
And then I had, basically, the whole of my face was covered in plasters for like 4 weeks.
Where did they get inside to your face to push the rest
I
out?
don't know. I want to say they
mouth?
went through the mouth or something.
But then just reached up. Like, where's the opening?
I was actually unconscious for this.
I'm intrigued.
I'm not the right person to ask. I was like a car crash victim. Can't really tell you what happened to the guys near the cars. I was kind of in that scenario. Anyways, that was one of them.
Wow.
And I was very young. I could only eat through a straw for a while. And then the other one happened more recently. It happened just before my 21st birthday, where I'd had a really nice, relaxing evening, and I was just sort of chilling out in my own bedroom in my dressing gown and stuff. I went downstairs to make a cup of tea, stubbed my toe on the corner of the table, and got so angry that I punched the fridge.
Oh no!
And I did not know how to punch, so all the force went through my knuckle of my little finger on my right hand and snapped the bone between my knuckle and my wrist.
Oh my god!
And that was quite painful. And yeah,
I feel you've learnt a lesson there.
I've learned
You've learned how to punch it, and now just fridges carrying you away.
So yeah, I had a pot on my hand, on my wrist for like 6 weeks.
A pot?
Yeah, like a cast.
Ah.
A cast.
Yeah. Is that like industry slang? I say industry. Amongst the injured, you call them pots. I've never broken a bone. I've never had to be cast in that way.
It's what everybody in Sheffield called it, because I was living in Sheffield at the time.
Oh.
Like,
So
what's with the pot? They would say.
It's a regional thing.
It must be. Like calling it TIG instead of tag.
Yeah.
Is that a Midlands thing? Do
I
you know
called
what
it
TIG is?
Is it?
I've seen
Simple.
You're
I've seen a map of it.
Yeah.
And they call it TIG tags in places. They call it it.
Well, it's like how Snakes and Ladders in the US is Shoots and Ladders.
It's because they're afraid of snakes.
Yeah. It's like Indiana Jones.
What injuries have you had?
I've been involved in a few fights where I've been knocked out.
Really?
Yeah.
Who punched you? Why?
Like, I
You're
say
lovable.
involved in fights. I've never actively started a fight myself,
Uh-huh.
but it's always been a case of wrong place, wrong time. I mean, I was outside Mr. Pizza, my local pizza emporium, when I was young. I was probably about 18. And some kids just came out of a bush. And then someone else who wasn't with us at all said, "All right, Bruce," to one of them. Next thing I knew, I was down an alleyway with like 3 men kicking me. And then I somehow came out of the alley fine. I don't know what happened there. I have no real recollection.
Adrenaline.
Then I was holding a pizza, I remember that much. And then the next memory I have is me lying on the ground, looking at my friend who had just a pool of blood, like in the lap of his grey cords
God.
that he was wearing. And I was like, "Oh shit, are you okay? Where's that blood come from?" He's like, it's yours." And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I look fine. But no, apparently I'd been knocked out, landed on a little pebble or something, and split the back of my head open. I'd been unconscious for like 5 minutes.
Jesus.
And they were trying to put me into an ambulance, and I didn't know why they were trying to do that. Like, I thought I was fine. I was completely doolally. And then
That's
the next
crazy.
memory I have is being in hospital, getting put into like an MRI machine to scan my head, and just laughing hysterically at the splatter of blood I'd left from where I'd lay down, and my head had just gone.
Wow. That sounds.
But that was fine, and then they glued my head together, which was horrible. I just
You
like
got
I
a
think
scar?
like a modern day.
I have no idea. It's
Humpty Dumpty.
right on the back of my head, and it was around the time I was doing my GCSEs or A levels. And one of my friends was sat behind me in an exam and said he was just staring at this like just patch of glue I had in the back of my head. No, I think my head had healed, and then I just had glue stuck in my hair for weeks. Like this really industrial strength head glue. And then another time, not a serious injury, but one where I thought I was going to die. I was doing some farming work and was trimming the grass, but with one of those really long trimmers with a circular saw blade on the end that doesn't seem safe at all.
Yeah.
And I clipped a rock, and one of the teeth snapped off and fired into my bicep.
Ooh.
I've got a tiny little scar just here. For the listener,
I can
that's
see
no
it,
use.
yeah.
It's on my arm.
He's pointing to his arm.
That's where it was. And I was quite sweaty. I'd been doing a lot of physical work. It was a very sunny day, and the sweat mixed in with the little bit of blood that was coming out, and so my whole right arm was just red with
God.
blood. And so I thought I'd hit an artery or something, and then started to feel faint because I thought it was a huge amount of blood, but it was just sweat and blood.
Do you think what you saw made it worse?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm not too squeamish, but because it was my own blood, I started to panic a little bit. And then I pulled the little tooth out, and there was just a squirt of blood that followed it.
Oh God.
It was fun. But yeah,
Can I have
I've
it
not
that you
broke a
haven't?
bone or anything
Yeah.
like
Can I
that.
tell you about the favourite part of your first story?
Yeah.
For me, that you got ambushed from a bush.
See, these Midlands kids, they know
Had
what
you-
they're doing.
had
They've
you
got
been
this
drinking?
fun sense of wordplay. I'd had a little bit to drink. Yeah, I'd been
but
at
not like
been at my local pub, my local pub at a show, and then we always used to go to Mr. Pizza afterwards to get pizza and then walk home. So it was about 11 o'clock at night. I was I old enough to drink? I don't know.
In the region.
Yeah, I was close enough.
It doesn't really matter. It's a bit blurry around that age, isn't it, Little?
Yeah, certainly with our sort of age. It was before Challenge 48 or whatever it is now, where as long as you went to a pub, they trusted you.
If you don't look over 1 million, you'll get ID'd.
Yeah. But yeah. So have you had any other injuries other than your hand?
I've broken a couple of ribs and I cracked my sternum.
How'd you do that?
I cracked my sternum by... It was in a supermarket car park. It had been raining and I tried to leapfrog over a parking bollard. So I tried to jump over it, and because my hands were wet, my hands slipped and I just winded myself on my chest with the metal parking bollard. I was probably between the ages of 8 and 12, I think. And at the time it all looked fine. I was just a bit winded, and then the next day my mum just remembers me not really being able to breathe, and she was like, "What's happening?" And I got an X-ray and I'd cracked my sternum.
Jesus.
Which was kind of bad. And then the cracking of my ribs and breaking a few ribs and things like that was bodyboarding, not bodyboarding. Sledging using a bodyboard. So there was a hill behind my house where I grew up, and one year it was quite icy, or it had snowed, so we went sledging because school was closed. Using a bodyboard to go down ice, and at this point people had been going down it for a couple of days. It had frozen overnight, so it was very smooth and slippy ice.
You turned into a proper black run.
Oh yeah, and I was basically jumping onto solid ice chest first on a bodyboard. And,
that'll do it.
Yeah, it will.
Those ribs aren't made for that kind of force, that kind of impact.
I was having a riot of a time.
It's like human suspension, I guess. You fall and they've got a bit of gives you a bit of bounce before they just crack.
Yeah.
Rather they go than all the internal organs, right?
Yeah, and I didn't really give it too much worth at that point. I think I was still, again, quite young at this point, so it was...
In the days when you were invincible and could do anything. I think the first time I really realised I could get hurt short of seeing my own blood and then bawling my eyes out, so... thought I was hurt even though I wasn't. I was running around the drain at the edge of the playground when I was in year 2 or year 3.
What kind of drain? Just a drain?
It was just like a gutter around the edge, and then one of the drain covers had been removed, and my leg just fell down it. I was a little wee boy at the time, and I ended up stopping falling down it because my shin caught on the edge, and it just dug in.
Thanks for that.
And that was I still don't have hair on part of my leg where it's just skinned me and then dug into my shin. That was wonderful.
Hit by a car as well.
You hit by a car?
Yeah, it was my own fault. I didn't look both ways, and then everything kind of went a bit slow-mo, and I turned and it hit me on the butt, which is good because I'm quite skinny. It was the only place that I'm quite padded, so it hit me on the bum. I went flying, skidded about 6 foot, and then skidded an extra couple of feet on my side, so one half of my body was just bruised and scraped. It was shit.
I had a really unlucky accident where I was at a friend's and he lived out in the countryside, and me and him and one other guy went to some hay bales that were stacked really high. They were stacked maybe 3 stories high or something, and then we climbed them, and me and my friend were on top of them, and then the other guy was just on the ground throwing stones, and one of them, I was just sort of standing there just on the top of these hay bales looking around at the countryside in the middle of summer, and then I just feel this giant thud on the side of my head. It turns out one of the stones had hit me that this guy was throwing. He obviously didn't know where he was throwing them because he couldn't see over those bales that high. It was just bad luck. And then my friend goes, who's up there with me, goes, it's not that bad, it's fine, just take your hand off. And as I take my hand off my head, there's just there's blood everywhere.
You just pulled part of your scalp with you. Just taken the lid off.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm more afraid of pain from injury than of dying. So if I'm going to be in an accident, I would
want it to be short and sweet if it's going to be the end of you.
Like if I get hit by a car that's going to maim me severely, I'd rather just... Well, no, I wouldn't rather die. I'd obviously rather be alive, but I'm more afraid of being in pain. I
think that your body releases some kind of chemical to get you through it at that point.
You get tons of adrenaline. When I got hit by the car, the first thing I did was stood up, sat and walked to the side of the road, sat down on someone's kind of wall bit, and just said I've always wondered what that felt like. And then it was only about an hour later that I actually started to be in pain because I had so much.
That's when your arm falls off. Okay, yeah.
Now I know what that feels like.
I read about a woman on the internet who did a parachute jump and her parachute didn't open. So she landed on the ground, but then she landed on a fire ant nest.
Oh!
The only thing that stopped her dying was the bites from the fire ants. over 200 bites that triggered an adrenaline release
Wow.
that enabled her to go and walk to the nearest hospital. Or
She walked.
yeah, she got up and walked.
Fallen out of the sky, a gift from heaven, and then gets bit by an ant and walks to hospital. Hi, I'm the new Jesus. Pleased to meet you.
So if you have had any severe or otherwise injuries, we'd love to hear your stories.
If you've got photos, don't send them to Ed.
So
he won't enjoy it.
Trufaxpodcast@gmail.com. That's where you can send.
Yeah, and
Or you can tweet us, and then everyone can see your horrific injuries.
Share with the world.
Yeah.
Trufax Podcast at
Twitter.
twitter.com. That's not a real email, but it's where we are.
And we're on iTunes and Facebook. Just search for us. We're searchable now. If you put Trufax Podcast into things, we'll
We're
show up.
almost the whole first page of results.
Yeah.
Of everywhere.
So popular. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.